So I had said recently how the first president of American Nurses Association, she helped start the state fair. Back in the day, the state fair was used as a great way to highlight, all of science's great accomplishments. Eugenics in Chicago, 1915. Yeah, the black stork. Some people might know about the black stork. In the first decades of the 20th century, the idea of eugenics took root in Northern Europe, Scandinavia, Great Britain, and the U.S. Anthropologists, geneticists, physicians, and politicians informed the public about the eugenics and influenced policy and law. Eugenics, from the Greek word which means genes, and good, which ends up meaning good genes, birth is an attempt to improve a nation, a people, or a race by permitting or mandating selective reproduction. It rests upon two pillars aimed at improving society. Individuals with desirable traits or abilities are encouraged to have children and may even be rewarded for each child. They produce. Individuals with undesirable traits or conditions thought to be hereditary, mental illness, feeble-mindedness, epilepsy, even deafness or blindness, are discouraged from producing offspring. This can be achieved by hospitalizing them, that is, confining them by force, and then forced sterilization. In Nazi Germany, handicapped children were hospitalized and secretly killed. Parents were informed that their children had died from pneumonia or appendicitis. The ideas of eugenics were often mixed with notions of race biology or racial science, a hodgepodge of racism, class bias, and pseudoscience. Eugenics attracted the favorable attention of George Bernard Shaw, Winston Churchill, Margaret Sanger, Theodore Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, and H.G. Wells, who wrote The Time Machine, has been interpreted as a warning against letting primitive or inferior races flourish. Feeble-mindedness, mental retardation, which that's what feeble-mindedness is, it says in parentheses, greatly concerned eugenicists. Persons with this heterogeneous condition were divided into idiots having a mental age of 2 years, imbeciles 3 to 7 years, ineducatable and unemployable, and morons. I guess that's why the left so often wants to carry on about you're just uneducated. Isn't that what they constantly say about Trump supporters? Well, yeah, you guys come out of the eugenist era. That's what you've been trained in. Talk about morons. Morons made up 85% of the feeble-minded group, and they were the most worrisome as they could sometimes pass as normals and contribute their inferior heritage to the gene pool. Harry Hadelson, an MD, 1870 to 1990, earned his medical degree in 1839 from the University of Illinois College of Medicine. He then had several years of surgical training. He had also worked at the Illinois State Institution for the Feeble-Minded, where he saw severely mentally handicapped patients living desolate, hopeless lives. He was also the adoptive father of 2 abandoned children and was a vocal proponent of eugenic approaches to handicapped persons. In 1950, he was surgeon-in-chief at the German-American Hospital of Chicago, where he refused to operate on a newborn with multiple congenital anomalies. The baby had paralysis on one side of its body, blindness, a missing ear, scoliosis, a GI defect in the abdominal wall, rectal abnormalities, and was missing part of the occipital bone of the skull. Hadelson told the parents that if the infant lived, it would be an imbecile, and that if its parents and humanity would be better served by its death than by prolonging its life. He convinced the parents, and the infant died 3 days of age. Allowing or even helping handicapped newborns to die was sometimes done by some physicians, but they kept it secret. Yeah, isn't that what the left is talking about now? Like Trump brought that up, how there was that governor, I forget in what state, where he said, well, we'll keep the baby alive long enough for the parents to make the decision, and then if they decide to kill it, not recognizing that's straight up murder. The experts, I'm sick, the experts are twisted. Hadelson, however, flaunted his act to the media. Of course he did. He was from University of Illinois, Chicago. In order to create further public awareness of his eugenic approach, he told the press that he had allowed at least 6 defective infants to die. From the public, he was both revered and reviled. He received support from Clarence Darrow and Helen Keller, an advocate for persons with certain disabilities, but who thought that prolonging the lives of those with severe cognitive disabilities was not acceptable. Hadelson was acquitted in a jury trial and also appeared before a coroner's jury composed of 6 leading physicians and surgeons. The foreman of the jury was Dr. Ludwig, a professor of pathology at Rush Medical College in Chicago. This jury found Hadelson morally and ethically within his rights in refusing to perform surgery that would have saved the infant's life. Yeah, well, of course they did. Yeah, so the Black Storks. So in 1917, Hadelson produced and starred in a eugenics propaganda film called The Black Stork. Black storks were said to kill their less virtuous hatchlings in order to have more food for the better ones. The film starts with a discussion of how humans breed livestock selectively, but unfortunately do not pay attention to human breeding. The viewer is also told that the inheritance of inferior qualities is to blame for the crime, misery, and poverty. The care of defectives costs millions, and that diverts money that could otherwise be spent on normal children. And as you can see up there, it says the Chicago Daily Tribune. The Chicago Tribune, yeah, I would never expect honesty out of that propaganda filth machine. Personal experience. So at the state fairs, when science wanted to put on their great, research and everything, they really started pushing eugenics and health, and really, having the being the right genes. Yeah, I guess that's why the elites all marry within their own family. Yeah, and how well has that worked out? Totally morally bankrupt. So when it comes to God, let me just tell all of you wealthy people that think that you're so much better than everybody else, you are no better than anybody else. You are no better than the homeless person, no matter how much you want to say, well, no, I am. No, it just means that you've put yourself above everybody else. But in God's eyes, you're no different than that homeless person. So, come down from your little high tower. And what the fairs would do is then, bring your kid and we'll do all this testing, and so we could find out all the children that are from genes that are defected. Yeah, and you may say to yourself, most people, especially that are higher educated, would say, well, we don't do this anymore. Yeah, they do. I mean, I'm not saying the fair, I'm saying the universities are still the same way. It's the reason why in mental health it's gotten worse, not better. So they're not expert. If you're an expert, then things improve. They don't get worse. Otherwise, you're an expert of just being an expert at failure. That's what they are. Yeah, even Better Babies Contest, a Better Babies Contest by all of those higher educated people that love to put people like me down. Yeah, you're so intelligent. You're all you are is academically intelligent, but what has it done for you? Most of you don't have a moral compass. Most of you support the most god-awful things like open borders that just destroys any country. Nobody should ever support that, but you want to call yourselves the experts. You're so highly educated. Look at what it's done for you. Yeah, steps in the mental development. So the moron, the high-grade imbecile, the medium imbecile, the low-grade imbecile. This is what mental health used to be about. Yeah, and the idiot. And depending on where you fell on that spectrum would be if you're no good to society and they should just off you. Yeah, so that's why then I work at a place in 2024, okay, that just admits anybody because they look at anybody as they're a defect compared to the CEO and board members that run that place. And again, I'm not talking about every psychiatrist, and I'm just saying, people need to start realizing that the eugenics in America has continued on, which is why we have nothing but more problems.